It's Saturday. Welcome to the Hayden Collins radio program, the Intelligence Syndicate. Couple of weeks off. Easter holiday. Definitely had a lot of fun Easter. Oh my gosh. I enjoy the kids. Enjoy the fun times. And it seems like everybody puts on their Sunday, well, never puts on their Sunday best, and then they run out into the grass. It's like, oh my gosh. Grass stains everywhere. Mother's cringing, especially for toddlers. All right, so we had a couple of weeks off. Easter weekend, good times. So before the holiday hit, the WikiLeaks guy finally, and I say finally, I don't know what they've been doing. It's all a veil, a shroud. They take him into custody and they're going to extradite him, and actually, well, they're just going to get him back to the United States. Now, as soon as he was arrested, our illustrious press was all over it, and it's amazing the creative writing that they do, that they have these talking heads read. Absolutely amazing. There was an old movie called The Natural. It starred Robert Redford. It's about a baseball player who was robbed of his prime, kind of. Very good show if you ever watch it. It was done in, I guess, the late 20s, 30s, somewhere in that range. Just a great show. And what sticks out of my mind's eye is there was a part of the show which was the final part of the movie. We're in the last 8 minutes and the build-up is happening. The story's getting ready to end. And all of a sudden you see the reporter setting up in the stands in their little reporter's box. And he's got a cartoon of two stories. He's got a cartoon of Robert Redford being a goat. And he's got a cartoon of Robert Redford being a hero. And he doesn't know which way it's going to go. I feel a little bit like The Natural right now. I don't know which way this WikiLeaks thing is going to go. I have no idea. It's got to play out. But if this guy is worth his own salt, there's a phrase for you. If he is worth his own salt, and no conspiracy theorist worth their paranoia badge would let this slip past him, because all of the late 80s spy movies, even some of the James Bond movies, had time-released issues. You know, you can't do anything because if I don't get back there in time, this nuclear warhead's going to go off and destroy the world. I have to be there, and James Bond finds a way around it, so on and so forth. So if this WikiLeaks guy is smart enough, he probably has time releases on information that are pre-programmed to be released at certain intervals. And if he doesn't log in, it doesn't stop. So they've got him in custody, and he can't log in. So wouldn't it be interesting if he paid attention to some of those 80 spy movies? And all of a sudden we have releases coming out while he's in custody. Don't! And that would be his ticket out, saying, you better leave me alone. I'm not interested in being a Hillary Clinton suicide. And the moment I quit logging in, information gets released. Now, the downside of that is, what happens if he dies? It's going to get released anyway. All it is an insurance policy for him. He just has an insurance policy, and that's it. But here's what happened in the news cycle. I guess it was for 2 days. Yeah, 2 solid days. In the news cycle, he was the number one bullet. He was the number one story. He was carrying everything. And the number 2 story was something about Trump, and then number 3 story was something about, how they're going to impeach Trump, and they believe that Barr is acting on behalf of the president, not the United States, and yada, yada, yada. All kinds of more drama than anybody cares to deal with. And then 2 days later, he vanishes from the press. No press release, no information, no hearings, no nothing, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. He's just like that guy in Florida that had, all the stickers all over his van, and they took him into custody, and nobody ever heard from him again. It's like, wait a second, what happened here? So now you have the WikiLeaks guy kind of hanging out there, and let's see if he paid attention to his 80 spy movies, because if he did, it's going to be an interesting few years. All right, so line item number 2, since we've been off the air for a couple of weeks. You know who's going to lose the most credibility in this entire let's get Trump thing? And it's not the Democratic Party. They don't have credibility to lose. And it's not the Clintons. They don't have credibility to lose. It's the FBI, the CIA, and the Justice Department. I mean, even now, think about this. This Jesse Smollett thing in Chicago is going full circle now because somebody else got charged with a false report. And the guy, the public defender, took advantage of the situation. He goes, hey, you're not giving this person the maximum fine. You're going to treat him just like you did Jesse Smollett. And now the state's going, well, we have laws and this, that, and the other. And go, yeah, well, it didn't apply to him. So the public defender is smacking it back down on, Illinois law, going, hey, you set the standard. Here's the standard. Here's another case just like it. Not just like it. She didn't hire anybody to beat her up. It was actually she was claiming somebody was frauding her. And she filed a police report because apparently she thought they were frauding her. So their return was, well, we're going to get you for filing a false police report. And then now she's sitting there going, what? So if you read about the case, I'm not sure how much merit to put into it. I won't regurgitate the whole thing. But it is an Illinois case, and it is, I think somebody is actually pushing this case to push the Jesse Smollett issue. I don't think this case ever would have seen the light of day in a courtroom, except for the fact that they're trying to produce the law of the land that shows the double standard. And in Chicago, that's a tough game. But they're playing it. So it's going to go just a little bit further. So it's credibility. So let's go back to the Russia-Trump thing here. You can't help but wonder how any of the individuals claiming anything about this Russian thing now has any ground to stand on. Prominent Democrat lawyers. Prominent Democrat lawyers. 2 years. If you think for a moment, if prominent Democrat lawyers had a reason to hang somebody for their party, they would do it. The prominent Democratic lawyers got nothing. So basically, they packed the bench and still came up with nothing. You can imagine just for a moment if you had 12 Republican lawyers going after the Clintons. Imagine the screaming and hollering that would happen then. Or the whining, I should say. The whining. So, effectively, if anybody is still riding that train, if anybody is still trying to believe this or make a story of it, it's for propaganda purposes only because they don't have a leg to stand on. Now, think about this just for a moment. It's very hard to be the party opposite. And let me explain the party opposite. I actually got this from listening to the Prime Minister's moments in Great Britain and attending certain issues. And it's the polite way of calling out the party without giving them credit for being the party. So you're the party opposite. They don't identify them as the Labor Party or the Conservative Party. You're just the party opposite. Okay? So in the United States, the party opposite is the party that's not in control at the time. And I do say control. I like leadership, but I don't like the fact that elected officials who are supposed to be representatives declare themselves leaders. And that's not the way it is. They're not leaders. That doesn't happen like that. So the party opposite right now has to come up with a campaign strategy and a campaign platform that's A, going to show the voters that they can run the country better than the existing party's doing right now, and B, they can mass together a team of representatives that can provide the leadership that the country will trust. So let's quickly do a review. The Democratic economist that was working, was it Klugman is whatever his name was talking about if we didn't follow the Obama programs, we were all going to die and end of the world and yada, 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 bread and water, Venezuela, whatever the case may be. And flat out told everybody there was never going to be, the growth that we're seeing today. It's just never going to happen. You guys are all idiots, not going to happen. So the party opposite has to fight that. They sold that story to so many people, and so many people invested based on that story, built their lives around that story, thinking that this is the way it was going to be, and it cost people money. It cost entrepreneurs money. And then what happened was, Donald turned things around and said, not only are you wrong, but you're so wrong, we're going to bump it over 3% and keep it consistent. Holy moly, look what happened. Best economy in the, I don't want to say the lifetime of the United States, because the wartime economy was brutal, but probably the best economy I've seen or read about that has existed in my lifetime. So if you're the party opposite, how do you fight that? Well, you can't say we're going to give you a better economy, because 2 years ago you were saying we were never going to get above 1.5 or 2.3% growth, ever. But now that we've got that, you don't really hear that anymore from that group, because guess what? Their policies, their government position, the way they do things, the way they wanted to present things was wrong. So let's go to the next platform. Let's say they wanted to talk about unemployment. Unemployment for blacks, unemployment for Hispanics, unemployment for Asians, whatever the case may be. Don't care. Do not care. Okay? The unemployment rate has always been reported with give or take 1.5% to 3%. That's just the way the numbers work. It's just the way it's done. So if you have a 3.2% unemployment, an economy that's booming, use your own professional judgment and common sense here. You think that would be plus 3%, plus 1.5%, negative 1.5%, or negative 3%? Well, if you were the most optimistic individual out there, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is the first time in the country that everybody who wants a job can have a job, and we have so many job openings that people aren't taking them because either A, they're not qualified, or B, they're just not generally located to take the jobs. And I find it's the latter. A lot of people just aren't generally located to take the jobs. There's a lot of jobs that are available. I mean, there's project management jobs, but we need you to move to Timbuktu, or we need you to move to Saudi Arabia, or we need you to move to where, and people just don't want to do that. They can pick and choose in this economy, which is good for the family, which is good for the worker. They can pick and choose the jobs they want to do. So if you're optimistic, you think, oh my gosh, the unemployment rate is really close to zero. If you're a pessimist, you're going to say the unemployment rate is about 5.2% or almost 6%, because the numbers are plus or minus 3%. But think about this just for a moment. It's the best. It is booming. It's the best. So if you're the party opposite, how do you come back and say, okay, our platform is going to be unemployment? You're not treating minorities right. When all of a sudden you're looking at the numbers and discovering, holy crap, there have never been this many minorities employed before. We can't do that platform. We can't go that route. So there would be no credibility for them to go to growth. There would be no credibility for them to go to unemployment. So let's go to the next check box. Let's check the next box. You would have to look at social programs, and you'd say, okay, the United States is in terrible shape. We need better social programs. People are falling through the cracks. It's the end of the world as we know it. We need Obamacare, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden you have so many productive members in society. Health insurance is no longer an issue? because they have a job and employers are providing the health insurance. So government doesn't have to get involved. You can't produce the numbers to show that government needs to be involved. So that whole philosophy of, the government has to provide kind of went out the window. Kind of drowned itself out because the unemployment rate, one of, I guess, the backlashes, if you're the party opposite, is provided enough work for everybody to do so they don't have to worry about those things. So let's go to another platform. Let's go to a platform that is beating around right now in the news. Now, oh my gosh, it was a long time ago. Mark Twain, I think, said politicians are individuals who run around finding problems that don't exist and creating solutions that are not needed. I don't think that's ever going to change throughout history, but that happens. And the true word politician is in play there. That's somebody who has been in office, wants to keep their job, and has already been sold their soul to a lobbyist and special interest group. Their vote's nothing more than, whatever they're told to vote for. A party vote is what I call them. So let's say you run into the big issue now. And the big issue now is immigration. They're going, oh my gosh, immigration. We got these people seeking asylum. So up until about right before Easter, the Democrats were screaming, oh, border, oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other. And then all of a sudden, Trump kind of turned the table on him and says, okay, we're going to give these people asylum. We're going to pick one sanctuary city at a time. We'll fill that city up and go to the next one. And boy, you talking about the change of venue for Democratic talking heads. All of a sudden it went, whoa, you can't do that. And all of a sudden he goes, well, you're a sanctuary city. Yeah, we can. And then that issue almost dropped off the news. It's a number 3 bullet now, maybe a number 4 bullet. You don't even see it on Facebook that anymore. Of course, I'm not using Facebook as a standard, but you used to see lots of posts on it. So now you're the party opposite and undermined each one of your platforms that you have to go on to run for president or anything else. So now you got to go a different direction. You got to say, okay, how can we get voters? Well, let's offer to get rid of everybody's student loans. Well, that's not going to pan out for everybody who had student loans and paid them off. That's not going to pan out for everybody who chose a degree that required a lot of student loans and they make a lot of money and they paid it off, to the tune of about $300,000 or whatever. I would want that $300,000 back. Let's do that. So I don't see that one happening. But there are going to be individuals out there that are going to gamble out there going, oh, if this guy can pull this off, I get paid to vote for him. I'll get rid of this debt. Well, chosen careers are chosen careers. And you have the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. And if you chose that career, you knew what you were getting into, you know what you were going to do, and that's fine. So you have a platform now that are going, we'll give you away stuff. Now, this is what Hillary Clinton complained about Bernie Sanders during the election when Bernie was out there pushing the floors and everything was, Bernie's promising everything for free. And keep in mind, that's how Athens failed. That's how many of the city-states failed, because it became a rule-by-mob scenario. So let's look at the other platform they're presenting. The other platform they're presenting is, well, we don't want to just do student loans. We're going to impeach the president, and we're going to follow the crimes or whatever the case may be. So the first platform is give away stuff, and the second platform is prosecute those that are in charge. That's all the party opposite has right now. Besides a bunch of candidates running for president, they don't have anything else. They don't have anything to present. So when you look at these rallies for the president and he's going around and they're so packed, there's people outside and everything else, and you can't do anything about it, that's telling you the same story it told you some time ago, is you have to present something that helps make a decision for millions of lives for years to come. Following the pattern of destruction from Finland, from Venezuela, That path of destruction was a short turnaround. What was it? 2007, Venezuelans were ordered to turn in all their weapons. I think it was 2012. 2012, they were told they had to line up for food, that they're going to pass out food vouchers. And now they're eating their pets. And I think it's like, oh my gosh, you poor guys. And there's lots of people leaving that area. South America is going to become destabilized because of Venezuela and the refugees and everything that's going on there. Then something will have to be done about it. But thank God people are thinking ahead right now. Because some of the diseases that are coming across the border, you kind of wonder what health programs they had down there in Venezuela. It's absolutely incredible. All right, we come back from the breaks. We got Oops, I Arted again, their Easter version. and then we're going to go out and get some work done this week because it's a beautiful start to the summer, and I highly recommend everybody get there and wash those cars and get that pollen off of it. And snow is falling in the north today still. So go shovel some snow up there. Be about it.